Yeah, hello everyone. Very good afternoon. How are you all? How's it going? Okay, Alicia, great. Thanks for your remark. How about everyone else? Are you guys feeling energetic? Excited for this session? All good? Okay, Aliyah, that's what, yeah, she says. All right. Cool. So I think yeah, let's get started, folks. So as you might know, I am Vikas Srivastav. I'm one of the co-founders at Alma Better. I currently look at product and engineering at Alma Better. But prior to this, I wasn't like this. So I was previously a data scientist. I have around 4 to 5 years of working experience as a data scientist in companies such as Express, HSBC, and all. Right. So I'll talk about my personal experience so that you guys know how you can expect let's say standard career progression in data science, so because that is very important to share. And then of course in this session what we would really want to carve out is these career strategies that tech professionals need to build or need to adopt in 2024, right? So what are we going to talk about in this class? So the first of all, I'll start with my personal experience. I'll try to give you what I have done right in past, and so that can help you assess a standard career progression. Then I'll talk about the in-demand skills in tech, as in what are the skills, especially with respect to a data science professional, right? What are the skills that recruiters or the companies are demanding? So that is what we'll learn. Next is this is a very important point actually. So we'll also learn how to build. Okay, we want to really essentially become a builder, right? We just don't want to become a consumer, we want to also become a builder. So I'll want to share that kind of philosophy as well. Right, and why is it important, you'll learn in a bit while. And the third agenda would be discussing about networking in tech, right? So how do you network with the best people, right? Where do you find the best people? How do you get ahead of everyone, right? Or how do you keep up with the progress that's happening in this field, right? And as you know, the progress has been sort of really amazing, really explosive. So how do you sort of keep your balance there, right, without sort of losing any sort of foresight? Then in the fourth agenda would be around how to build your solid portfolio, right? Because to get a really good job in tech, to be able to do a good job, right, you need to have a really solid portfolio. So that is what we're trying to overall discuss. And then we'll talk about right, so we will talk about applying for jobs in tech. So what jobs do we need to focus on, right? What kind of roles would be really fit for you? So we really want to discuss all of that. So whether data engineer is good for you, or whether data analyst or data scientist, or maybe ML engineer, right? Who knows, right? So we really want to understand what really fits your persona, what really fits your ambition, and how do we apply for these top jobs, right? And then the last point would be how to prepare for the interviews, right? So you'll definitely be sitting in the interviews later on. So how do you prepare for the interviews? What are the questions that you will be asked? So I'll want to give a basic idea about that. And then at the end, I'll just want to discuss about our Alma Better Masters program. And this is a very coveted and flagship program that we are providing. So I would want to talk a bit about that as well, right? So is everyone with me, right? So, uh, so are you able to get the agenda, as in what we want to really discuss? Okay, so it's not something like very and I have sort of avoided power presentation, because I feel that sometimes presentation sort of makes it boring. So I have a jamboard, and I would want to sort of scribble out stuff, so that you, and I'll be sharing this at the end of the class as well. So please stay tuned. And I think we'll also be sharing other details right at the end. Cool. Awesome. So let's go ahead, guys. So I'll just start with my personal experience. Okay. So, okay. So, hang on. Wait a second. Okay, I hope you guys are able to, yeah, see my screen. Okay, so this is important because I also came from non-IT background, and I think that is what a lot of people also crib about. That hey, मैं तो non-IT background से हूँ, मेरा क्या होगा? मैंने तो coding नहीं करी है, right? So it's not something to be really worried about, and that is why this career progression actually should matter for you, right? So basically in 2012, I got into IIT KGP, right? And I was doing something called civil engineering, right? So I got into IIT KGP, okay, and I was doing civil engineering, right? I don't know why I picked it. Maybe I was really fascinated by civil engineering back in 2012, and that is what I was more or less doing. So now fast forward 2016, right? I graduated here, and and at the same time, I joined Amex as a risk analyst. Okay, so I started my first job around August 2016, and this was a position called risk analyst at American Express, right? You guys know about American Express? It's a credit card company, right? And one of the biggest credit card portfolios they would have, right? So this is what I was doing. I was actually in a team called fraud decision science, right? So this context also I think should matter to most of the folks, right? Because it's not just a lot of people sort of get swayed by just the jargon or the term that the companies are using, right? So if you see that, okay, I was a risk analyst, but आप बोलोगे यार हमें मुझे तो data scientist बनना है, right? But a lot of work is also a core data science work, right? So I was doing a lot of fraud modeling here. I was building fraud strategy. So this was a good kind of work which I was doing. And what was the skill set that I needed to know for this? So we were using something called SAS and SQL back then. Okay, so we're using SAS and SQL, and we were not. Yeah, we started learning about Python, but we were very much comfortable in SAS and SQL, right? So then fast forward almost 1.25 years, right? In 2017 I moved to Noida and I joined this company called Global Analytics. Okay. So I joined Global Analytics. Okay. And I joined here as something called analytics scientist, right? So still not data scientist, as that is the coveted name. And that is what a lot of fresher also feel that, hey, I should become data scientist in the first go, right? But that is just a, let's say, a false dream you might be selling. Of course, you can become data scientist, junior data scientist, or whatnot. But designation, I will tell you, it doesn't really matter, right? The kind of work that will matter mostly. So here also I was doing something called fraud and credit risk, right? That is something I learned at American Express, and I got a bit good at that. So I was doing something called fraud and credit risk. And what were the tools I was using here? So I was using something called Python and SQL, right? So these were the major tools that I was using, and of course, apart from Excel and all, right? Because that is how you build your reports and you share with your senior team. So this is what I was doing at Global Analytics, right? And then in uh, in 2018, right? So in 2018, after, let's say, so I got a bit bored at Noida actually. So I wanted to move to Bangalore and wanted to experience the life here. So I came back to Bangalore and joined HSBC as a data scientist, right? So now I was able to get my coveted role, and this was like after 2 years of, let's say, effort, at least the name. But even at HSBC, the proper name was, let's say, senior associate. Okay, but of course my designation said that it was data scientist. And what I was doing something called investment banking research. Okay, so I was doing sell side research for institutional investors. If you are able to understand, that's good, but you don't have to worry. So I was doing some sort of research work in the investment banking side of things, right? For our institutional investors, and I was doing a lot of NLP based work, right? I did a lot of core ML modeling here. So a lot of ML modeling I did. I was using Python primarily. I used SQL and all, right? So these were the primary things that I was doing at HSBC, right? So I worked there for like 2.5 years, right? And then in 2020, right, in late 2020, we, let's say, co-founded Alma Better, right? So this is when we started Alma Better, and I have been teaching since then. So I regularly teach students, apart from, let's say, working on building our core platform and the infrastructure. So this is what, of course, I never planned that I will get into the product and engineering, but that is the turn of the fate, and here we are, right? So, but this is overall my journey, right? And as you can see, right, I did civil engineering. I had no exposure whatsoever towards data science, right? So in the last year, I got some idea that, hey, data analytics looks fine. It is an interesting field. So somehow I got drawn towards it, and then I prepared a bit for it, and I was able to get into American Express. So this was my personal experience, and we have been doing Alma Better for like 3.5 years. So time just really flies. So this was my experience, and I hope, I think a lot of standard data science career progression, if you look at them, right? So usually people start out as, let's say, a data analyst or a risk analyst, right? Because that is how you really learn the ways of the industry. That is how you really learn the ways of the business, right? So you don't go and join a company and on the very first day, you go ahead and build out a model, and which, let's say, does nothing good. So that's not the objective. The objective is to really, let's say, join an analytical role, or maybe, let's say, a data science role as well. But you need to learn the ways of the industry, right? How the business is running, how the business is providing infrastructure for all these data science processes and tasks to happen, right? So this is very important. So usually, what I have seen, that when people start out in this particular field, they initially become, let's say, analyst, right? Or maybe junior data scientist, then they become data scientist, and then they become senior data scientist or lead data scientist, right? So this takes a bit of time, but that is how the progression looks like, right? So of course, I'll talk about it in detail, but now let's go ahead. So the next thing I want to really talk about is the in demand skills in tech. Okay, so just give me a second. All right. So let's continue. So, what are the skills in tech that you guys would need? Okay, and I've already highlighted. Okay, I've already highlighted, and of course, this might not be an exhaustive list, but the list, the skills that we will discuss here might make sense, right, for most of you who are here in this session. So overall, especially, we don't want to cover the entire tech, right? Because when you talk about tech, right, that is a very big field. So it includes software engineering, data science, AI, right? It includes a lot of other fields as well, right? So maybe robotics, right? But we don't want to really span out the entire tech domain, but we really want to focus on the data science domain, right? So we really want to focus on the skills which are required to excel in the field of data science. Okay, so overall, I'll tell you. So I'll talk about the skills and tools and platforms, whatever that you need to really be familiar with, right? And this will also become like really clear when we discuss the curriculum for our program. And there you'll also learn that, okay, we are teaching all of these skills, right? So first of all, first important thing is Python. Okay, so Python is one of the most important and most popular programming language, right? Ever created. Python is very compute friendly. It's as essentially made to do a lot of calculations, a lot of computations, right? So that's why you might have seen all these, let's say, huge giant AI models like, let's say, GPT or Claude or even Llama, right? All these models, right? These are like very big, and they take a lot of time to train, and Python is probably the best language to do all of this exercise in a way, right? So Python is a very important language, right? It will help us do anything that we want, right? So maybe we want to, let's say, gather some data set, process some data set, clean our data sets, or build our AI models, or let's say we want to do some sort of evaluation or do some visualization, Python has it all, right? So Python is undoubtedly one of the most important languages of our time, especially when you are looking from let's say a computational perspective, right? A computational lens. So as a data scientist, you need to do a lot of computation so that your algorithm or your machine learning model can learn a lot of things from the data, right? So Python is a really good language for that. Okay. The next would be to learn about SQL. Okay. So SQL is a query language. It's of course a programming language. It is also called Turing complete language. So it helps us to let's say access the data, right, or query the data that might be stored in some database, right? So if you join any company, right, if you join any standard company, right, they are not storing their data, let's say, or having data in, let's say, raw CSV files, or let's say some Excel file, right? So they are using proper databases in which data is properly logged upon certain event. That is how, let's say, there would be some process through which data is generated overall, right? So now once the data is residing in some databases, now you need an interface or a tool through which you can access the data. Maybe you don't need all of that, right? You just need like maybe last year data, or maybe last month data, or maybe you need only data for all these Zomato orders placed in Bangalore, right? Who knows? It could depend upon the requirement to requirement, right? So but SQL is a very useful tool for us, right, which will help us to get the relevant data that we want and to do some analysis on, right? So SQL is very important, right? And SQL comes under what we also call as relational databases, right? And it will provide. And then if you look at major companies and major industries, right? In fact, we at Alma Better, we have a majority of our let's say data stored in relational databases, right? So of course there are like non-relational databases, but their usage are like a bit less. But relational databases, they are widely popular, and throughout the world they're very useful. So SQL is an important skill to learn. Okay, so that is the next thing. Okay. uh, Okay. So the next thing is, so apart from Python and SQL, you need to have a good understanding of, let's say, maths and stats, right? So if you really want to become a data scientist, right? So maybe let's say if you're a data analyst, stats should you should know a good amount of stats as well, because that is very important, right? Whenever we start to do any sort of modeling, right, any sort of models that we want to build to be able to predict something, right? So we would resort to some tools, and the simplest of the tools are called statistics, right? So we can build or do something called statistical modeling. It can help us get some ideas about how things are going to behave in certain time, in certain future. Now regarding maths, right? So of course we are teaching linear algebra, calculus, and probability from the very scratch, right? So we are not assuming that you would remember this, let's say, from your class 11th and 12th. So this is what we are teaching. And as a data analyst, you don't need to even know a lot of maths, right? But let's say एज अ डेटा साइंटिस्ट यू शुड हैव गुड एक्सपोजर कि एटलीस्ट थोड़ा समझ तो आए, राइट? कैलकुलस में डेरिवेटिव क्या होता है, हाउ डज ग्रेडियंट डिसेंट वर्क, राइट? यू गाइस शुड हैव सम आइडियाज. So this is what we are teaching in our, let's say, fifth module, and this is a very important skill to have, right? So what comes under maths essentially? So maths के अंदर अगर आप देखो, so something called linear algebra, right, and calculus, right? So we will be teaching all of these from scratch, right? So even though you might not have, let's say, revisited this or learned this for quite some time, we will make sure. And we try to teach maths in a very interactive way, right? So we have built a lot of, let's say, cool experiments which you can toy around with and then see for yourself what does it even mean, right? So what's the geometric interpretation of this idea or this concept, right? So it's not just formulas. It's about a lot of, let's say, cool experiments that you can do and learn on your own as well. Okay, so great. And then I think one of the other things would be the idea of ML, right? So machine learning is an important thing, is an important concept, right? And it's an advanced kind of modeling with respect to, let's say, statistical modeling. So statistical modeling, at many times they would make a lot of assumptions about the nature of the data or the nature of the process, but machine learning algorithms are a bit advanced, a bit complex. They don't make a lot of assumptions. They are like freely flowing. They tell that, hey, give me something. Probably I'll give you something else. Okay, so this is what ML is all about, and I think this is one of the important skills that you should have. Um, Also, I feel some of the basic skills that you guys should have is called Excel. Excel सबको आना चाहिए. Excel, there's no doubt that. So, is there anyone who hasn't worked on Excel yet? Can you guys let me know in the chat? Is there anyone who hasn't worked on Excel? Because Excel is supposed to be one of the most common tools of our time, right? And this is actually a very productivity tool, right? In a way, because I'm able to do a lot of, let's say, quick analysis, and do a lot of, let's say, can build a good amount of understanding by doing some, by moving things around here and there in an Excel sheet, right? So Excel is important. Probably, let's say, you will also need a bit of data visualization, because any data person, right, I am expecting that they should be able to visualize data in a good, uh, in a good way, right? And for that, at least, if not both, you should know either of them, right? Tableau or Power BI, right? So these are not that difficult. It's very easy. If you know Excel, you can even learn Power BI. It's the product from the same company, okay, Microsoft. It's an open source product. So I think it's not that difficult to learn, right? But this is a good skill to have, right? So you can do good kind of data visualization. That means you can do good reporting, good dashboarding, right? So whenever you're trying to communicate your insights to, let's say, your managerial team or leadership team, then you can overall, uh, I think, this is important, right? And of course, so now, there are like other tools as well, or other skills as well, which maybe as a data scientist you might not need. A bit of, let's say, exposure would be really helpful, right? So something called, let's say, data engineering, right? So data engineering thoda aana chahiye, or maybe something called ML ops, right? A bit of it, right? So if, let's say, if you're joining as a data analyst, you can totally ignore this. So maybe I'll highlight this in red, just to show that, okay, this is not something that all freshers or all people who are starting out should focus on. But you can actually become a data engineer, and when we talk about career roles, will come into this, right? So क्या 2000 से एक्सेल कर रहे हो? सही है. Sorry, Nirake, I am not able to get your point. सब इजी है, तुम बस अपने कंडीशंस बोलो आईएसए के. यार आईएसए नहीं डिस्कस करने आया ना. इफ यू वांट टू रियली डिस्कस आईएसए, you schedule a call with me. Guy team, can you please help? So I think, can you schedule a call with Nirake? Nirake, maybe you can mail me and we can do a separate call, right? Because here we are not here to discuss about ISA conditions, okay? Here we are trying to really understand how to carve out the career strategy in data science. Okay, so all right, so cool. So the other set of skills that you might require would be around data engineering or ML ops, right? Because if you look back 6 or 7 years back, right? So there, let's say, if a data scientist could simply build a machine learning model, that was like really worthy or very rewarding. But now, because it has become a bit easy, right? So now what companies are expecting, that you should not just be able to build, let's say, ML models, but also put them in production, right? Put them in the pipeline and all, right? So that is what I think you might basically get interested about, and this is a very important concept. ML ops stands for machine learning operations, right? So let's say if Netflix or YouTube, they have built this huge recommended systems which recommend users what kind of videos they should watch next, right? So it's not an easy game to pull off, right? It's not very easy. So you need to build a very detailed backend infrastructure so that your machine learning model can run, your data can or variables can be calculated, let's say in some batch process. So a lot of things might happen, and you might need to know all the nitty gritties there. Okay, so cool. So let's move ahead. Okay, so these are, I think, the skills. I think in for starters, you should really focus on, and this will, I think, help you set foot in the data science space. Okay, so maybe there are, of course, other set of things like, let's say, deep learning or NLP, but I'm assuming that they can be subsumed within machine learning, right? Because even, let's be honest, deep learning is actually one of the subsets of machine learning, right? So deep learning as a field has born out uh, from a particular algorithm called neural networks, right? So which is actually a machine learning algorithm, but इतना सही algorithm था उसके ऊपर when people started building, right? So it gave rise to a lot of, let's say, very unique architectures and unique models, which we are seeing currently, right? So we have text to video, right? Did you guys hear about Sora? ये सोरा के बारे में आपने सुना, right? This was a model from OpenAI which does text to video, right? And it is a stable diffusion model, right? It's a diffusion model essentially, right? If you don't know what is a diffusion model, maybe you can go ahead and search about it, right? But we are making a lot of progress in the field of AI, right? And it has been, I think, mostly because of the advancements in the deep learning field. Okay, so deep learning is very important, but let's say as beginners, we really don't want to get swayed by it. If you're really interested, you may be you may, of course, go through the contents, but initially we really want to familiarize ourselves with how industry works, how this kind of analytical or data science works in industry or any business. So that's why we really need to focus on, first of all, these core skills, and then maybe you can jump onto learning something advanced. Okay, so I hope you guys are able to understand what kind of skills that you'd require to excel in this field. Okay, so okay, so let's move on. So the next thing that we want to really talk about is learn to build and become a builder, right? This is something that is often not said with a lot of emphasis, right? And what I feel that in India there is a culture, there is a very wrong culture which has been seeded since school and colleges. Because I have seen that, right? No teacher, no professor would ever encourage you and say that, hey, why don't you go ahead and build something, right? But everyone wants essentially you to, let's say, crack some exam or clear some exam, right? So that you can do something next, right? So but no one was encouraging you, hey, you can build something for yourself. And this is something I feel really missing from the Indian education landscape. No one wants to become a builder, right? Everyone wants to just do things because someone else is saying, right? No one wants to take initiative on from their own, right? That, hey, I can do something because I've learned something, I can go ahead and build something, right? So this is something that I want to really focus on in today's class, right? So become a builder, right? And I think this is like lost. Uh, this mindset is totally lost in our Indian landscape, right? Because traditionally we have had this scarcity mindset, right? And हमें ये भी लगता है कि यार मैं तो सही नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ, but let's say if this guy is doing good, we are becoming jealous of those people, or let's say envious of those people, right? So we totally have to get rid of this kind of mentality, but we really instead need to focus on becoming a builder, right? Rather than just a consumer. So consumer mindset be okay hai, but you really need to build a builder mindset, right? So what does being a builder mean? Okay, so overall, let's say if you're learning Python, right? So you you should be, let's say, creating, let's say, some medium blogs, right? You should be out there in the world, you should be teaching what you have already learned, right? If you know a bit of Python, if you know any machine learning, go out there in the world and teach it, right? How do you teach to the world? So you can do, let's say, medium blogs. And one of the best things that I've learned is, if you really want to learn something, try to teach it. Okay. So because when you try to teach it, you really take the responsibility on yourself. You really want to make sure that, hey, whatever that I want to teach, the world or the audience should understand. And that is where you try to give your best. So try writing medium blogs whenever you are, let's say, studying or learning something, right? If you've learned about, let's say, statistics and probability, write a blog about it. Okay. And not just medium, like let's say you can pick any tool, like you can write on Substack पे डाल दो, न्यूज़लेटर चालू करो. So try to do this exercise, right? No one would have told you, let's say, maybe to do these things, but I'm telling you, all these micro and small efforts, they compound over time. And after a year, you will see that your portfolio. So let's say if I am a recruiter and I get to have a look at your resume, and I see that you are a prolific medium writer. I go to your medium channel and I see all of these good data science blogs. I'm in a moment I'm impressed, right? And you're going to be shortlisted, right? Because recruiters see that, okay, who are the people who are not just let's say trying to do something, but they're also trying to build something for the world, right? So that is very important. So this is of course the written blogs. I would also encourage you guys to create your own YouTube channel, right? So try to make, let's say, short videos or let's say long videos of the technical content. So this is very important, right? Maybe let's say 10 years back this was not so important because YouTube was not so prominent. But now, let's say, if you want to come out and tell to the world your story, right? So YouTube is the best platform, right, in a way. So let's say, you have some idea about, let's say, hyperparameter tuning or Bayesian optimization. Why don't you go ahead and build, let's say, a video on this, right? So these are, I think, small things we'll need to do almost, let's say, on weekly or daily basis. And that is where you are able to build that sort of builder mindset. So when you try to, let's say, record a video where you're trying to explain to the world how this particular concept works, right? So first thing is that you cannot fool the world, right? And then that, by assumption, you cannot fool yourself, right? Because you, it's very easy to fool yourself, right? It's very easy. अगर आपको लगता है कि यार मुझे ये आता है, मैं believe कर लूंगा, so it's very easy, right? It's very easy to make myself believe that, hey, I know this stuff, right? Even though I don't know. It's very easy to fool oneself, right? So but you need to, when you're making a video, you really want to make sure that, hey, do I really understand this concept? Do I really understand this topic? So once you go in that regime, you'll try to really understand deeply, and maybe you go ahead and create a video out of it, right? It's not because anyone told you, or not because I told you that, hey, you should create a YouTube channel. You should get this urge or drive from your inner self only, right? That, hey, I have learned this concept. Maybe it's time to teach it out to the world as well, right? So I will go ahead and make maybe a YouTube short video of maybe 40-50 seconds where I try to explain something really interesting. Okay. So this is something I feel you should be doing, right? It what whoever you are, right? Whoever you are, it doesn't matter, right? Always try to become a builder. And if you're reserved, if you're introverted, you don't want to, let's say, come out, that's still fine, right? But still, you can be active over maybe Reddit, you can be active over Twitter, you can be an anonymous account, but try to always share some idea. Write a Twitter thread, right? Why don't you write a Twitter thread and share your, let's say, learning, right? So for example, what are, let's say, the top 5 sampling techniques in machine learning modeling? Why don't you create a video on that? So you can, or maybe create a Twitter thread. So these are like very small things which I feel are like overlooked most of the time. But when you do this, let's say, a good amount number of times, you will be able to, let's say, really understand what you're trying to do, right? So अगर सेंट्रल लिमिट थ्योरम नहीं समझ में आया, try to make a video about it, right? I'll tell you at the end of the process, right? Once your video is published, I can guarantee that you'll actually understand the subject, right? So बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि यूजुअली व्हाट स्टूडेंट्स थिंक नो, दैट इफ आई अटेंड अ क्लास एंड आई लिसन, then I will understand more, right? That is of course true or partly true, but when you actually try to teach to the world, even though when you don't know it, you learn it first, and then try to teach, then I think you learn the most. Okay, so that is what I feel you guys should focus on. So build a builder mindset. Okay, try to create something, try to maybe make your Instagram channel, right? Try to post, let's say, good technical reels there, right? That's a good thing to do, right? That's a good positive contribution to the society, right? So I would encourage everyone to really think about this, right? Maybe you will end up not doing this, but try to think about it, right? So if you're doing tech, if you're learning something technical, try to share your understanding, your knowledge with the world. And I'm pretty sure in some time, maybe not the next day, but in some time, the world is going to reward you. Okay, so this is something that I feel is very important, right? So are you guys getting this point? I know there's not a lot of technical thing in this particular agenda, but I hope you guys are getting the idea, right? Why am I emphasizing on this? And a lot of people might again think कि भाई आप क्या बता रहे हो कि बिल्डर ठीक है, अब डेटा साइंस का बताओ ये वो, बट ये छोटी चीजें बहुत मैटर करती है, राइट? सो व्हेन यू लेट्स स्टार्ट लर्निंग, नो, you incorporate this in your day to day learning, right? And you will realize that this actually makes sense, right? ये स्कूल में कभी नहीं किसी को बोला गया. I was never told in school that, hey Vikas, why don't you go ahead and build something, right? Why don't you go ahead and build a small mini cyclotron? Why don't you go ahead and build a mini generator, right? Why don't you go ahead and build a simple product, right? Why don't you go ahead and build your simple website? No one is telling you to do so, right? But I'm telling you that if you really think about it, it's actually a very good piece of advice, right? So try to maybe follow it whenever you can. Okay, because um, when you are in a developing economy, you are trying to really think about basic needs, right? You're trying to think about your food, shelter, your clothes. You're trying to think about, let's say, basic education needs. So that is where a lot of things are, let's say, lost. But we have sort of evolved in the last few years, and I think it's time that we take the charge, right? So if we don't build this builder mindset, India is never going to make it big, right? So आप लोग सिर्फ एल्विश यादव और यही सब करते रह जाओगे. ओके, ऑनेस्टली मैं बता रहा हूँ. सो सिर्फ मीम्स और वायरल लोग हो रहे, डिस्कस कर रहे, दैट इज इट व्हाट्स हैपनिंग टुडे. And it's like really bad thing for India, right? We should be having people who are like sharing really good, let's say, ideas and concepts to the world, right? Because we if, so a lot of influencers you see, they are creators but they are not actually builders, right? So of course they are building something, right? But when I'm saying a builder, become a technical builder. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to maybe, or technological builder. All right, so now let's move ahead. So now I want to really talk about again, I want to talk about networking in tech. So how do you um, so how do you find, as in what's happening, right? How do you keep up yourself updated? How should you know, or what should you know? So a lot of people sort of are like really confused in their early days, right? So how do you find the best folks, right? So I'll give you some sort of ideas here, as in what you can do to network with the best of the lot, right? To network with the best of the folks, right? Which I also personally do, and I am sharing this like unfiltered. What I do in my personal life to do networking, this is what I'm going to, let's say, tell you as well. So the first thing is, right? देखो, knowledge हर जगह बट रहा है, ज्ञान हर जगह बट रहा है. The thing is, we have to be there in that exact space and time. That is very important, right? So I use Twitter a lot. Okay, so I use Twitter. So now I am not interested in politics and all, right? I'm relatively apolitical. I don't have a lot of political opinion, but I'm interested in tech. I'm interested in maths. I'm interested in technology. So that is for that. I have followed a lot of good accounts, a lot of good tech accounts, right? So most of my feed is actually tech Twitter. Okay. So most of my feed is actually tech Twitter, right? It does not, you're not able to, let's say, build this in a day, but over a week or over a month, you can subscribe or follow these accounts and try to engage with them, right? And because any new idea, right? The first time it gets published, that is on Twitter. Okay, so you're totally updated. What's happening in the world? What's happening today, right? Sora aa raha hai, right? Claude Opus is probably the best LLM currently out there, right? Which has beat GPT 4.5, right? So you need to follow a lot of really good tech accounts on Twitter and curate your feed, right? So overall, not just follow, curate your feed, right? So that is very important. And the same thing I would say also goes on YouTube, right? So you try to subscribe to really good tech channels, right? On data science and technology, and try to maybe follow those, right? So similar here also, you need to follow good tech accounts. You need to curate your feed. Okay, so you don't have to mix up your feed, let's say, with irrelevant content. So if you're really focused, you want to get in a zone, so you try to follow good accounts on YouTube, and I can give you some good ideas, right? So maybe you can follow Fireship, right? So Fireship follow कर सकते हो, right? ऐसे करके I can tell you, let's say, tons of channels, but I would want you to explore on your own, right? So what are the good channels, right? And one channel would lead to another, right? So let's say if you follow Fireship, you would automatically start getting recommendations of similar channels, right? So that is how you are going to build and curate your feed. That is very important. Okay, that is very important. Next thing is, you should be using some Reddit, right? And there are a lot of subreddits which are tech focused, right? So you need to be part of, let's say, tech focused subreddits, right? Maybe you should be interacting there, but you should be present, right? Because a lot of really good people are doing discussion there, and if you're part of those discussion, you're going to learn a lot, right? You're going to get a lot of new perspective from different people who are doing like pretty well. So try to do this, right? And apart from this, of course, this is completely online, but now of course you can do offline networking. You can go ahead and, let's say, do participate in some events. You can go and talk to maybe some leaders. All right, so offline networking भी आप कर सकते हो, आप and करना भी चाहिए, right? So maybe let's say find someone on LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn पे maybe आप you try to, right? और LinkedIn पे शेड पोस्टिंग बिल्कुल मत करो, right? To get just likes, don't do शेड पोस्टिंग on LinkedIn, right? कि प्लाकार्ड लेके ऐसे खड़े हो गए एंड बॉस ये बोलता है तो मैं ये करूंगा, ऐसे नहीं चलता है, right? This is not how you're going to become big in your life, right? So agar if you want to really share good knowledge in LinkedIn, maybe you can, let's say, publish those carousel PDFs, but try to maybe have something substantial, something technical, so that someone can learn. Maybe you talk about, let's say, what are different evaluation metrics for, let's say, a simple classifier model, right? So you try to talk out different technical things, but don't do like shit posting just for, let's say, getting likes. So if you want to really network, let's say, online and offline, you want to be at the best of yourself, right? So find good people, curate your feed, and immerse in it. That is what you need to do, right? So find, curate, and immerse. That is what I would encourage you guys to do. Okay, this is what I have been doing personally, and it might, I don't think it's bad, right? It's like really good. I am able to like see good amount of videos which explains a lot of really good concepts, right? And I see भाई ये बंदे ने क्या सही बताया, right? So so आप तो खुद वीडियो क्रिएट करो, become a builder, but also try to learn from the people who are actually doing really good. So this is something that I would encourage that everyone to do. And offline networking करो, participate in events, go to events, talk to some people, right? घर पे बैठे बैठे अगर Instagram reels बस scroll कर रहे हो, that is not going to help anyone at all, right? You really need to be out there. You need to talk to people, get some ideas, and then reassess, see what you can do, right? So listen, get advice from let's say, a lot of good people, but try to uh, build ideas on your own, right? So you get some ideas and do this, right? And one thing that I have also realized is that a lot of young Indian folks, they feel that help is going to come from outside. I'm going to sit on my bed, I'm going to lay on my chair, right? And the help is going to come from outside, and that is how I'm going to win in life, right? But that is not, folks, how it works, right? You really need to get rid of this mindset कि भाई कोई आएगा help करेगा तभी मैं कर पाऊंगा, right? You have to become vocal from yourself. You have to become exploratory. You have to do start doing a lot of research means आप पता करो क्या होता है, कैसे होता है. You don't have to sit idle and think that कि भाई ये बंदा आएगा तो मुझे सब कुछ पढ़ा के चला जाएगा, he will, let's say, do everything for me, right? So वो mindset उतना सही नहीं है, right? So when you feel that, when you feel that help is going to come from outside and then only I will be able to win in life, that is something that you really need to avoid. Okay, so ये चीज तो always बिल्कुल भी मत करो. Try to discover something, try to find something on your own, right? And ये जो external help वाली जो है ना mindset, जहाँ पे we feel that okay, I need to do something, I need some help, I'm not able to do on my own, मैं कैसे करूँ, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा. So you need to take some time, figure out, right? Research करो ना, इतना chat gpt करो, right? What does chat gpt not know that, let's say, some of your friend would know, right? So maybe do some research, and instead of just seeking help from people, right? So you try to take initiative, that's what I'm saying. Don't try to take help. Of course, take help when you're facing issues, but try to take some initiative. आप खुद से initiative नहीं लोगे, then you'll never be able to do, right? Let alone in tech, or let alone in data science, right? So this is something that I feel that you guys should really focus on. So do good networking online and offline, talk to good people, find really good content, good and be part of it, right? Become part of those communities. Discord पे भी है कुछ कुछ चीजें, right? So maybe you can join some Discord servers as well, right? Okay. So are you guys getting this point? I know this might sound a bit, let's say, non-conventional, but I hope you guys are getting the idea, right? And I think that good, educated, smart folks who are aspirational, who are motivated to do something, they are already doing it. Okay? They are already doing it. A lot of really good discussions, they are happening on Twitter and Reddit and on YouTube comment section on really good videos, but it's not privy to you. Okay, so networking is important, and that is what I feel that you guys should pay a lot of attention to. Okay, so the next thing that I want to really focus on is build a solid portfolio, right? So what do you need to build a solid portfolio, and how do you build it? Okay, so let's talk a bit about that. Okay, so how do you build a solid portfolio? Okay, what does portfolio mean? And I've told you, so there are like multiple aspects to it. Of course, the the interface between you and the recruiter, right, is going to be your resume mostly. Okay, so it is going to be your resume mostly. So resume is of course one of the key components of your portfolio, right? राइट, सो रेज्यूमे सही होना चाहिए, बट रेज्यूमे के अंदर क्या है, अब उसको बिल्ड करने के लिए वी नीड टू, लेट्स से, डू अ लॉट ऑफ वर्क, राइट? सो ओके, सो द फर्स्ट थिंग इज यू नीड टू हैव अ गुड गिटहब प्रोफाइल. ओके, so GitHub पे अच्छा प्रोफाइल बनाओ. If you're doing any projects, publish them on GitHub, right? And make sure that you're active there. So GitHub पे अच्छा प्रोफाइल बनाओ, do some good projects, and essentially build a good, right? So essentially I'm saying that do some good projects, okay, and publish them on GitHub as well. Okay, so this is the one side of it, or one part of it. Okay. Now, next, what I would encourage is build a good Medium and YouTube channel. Okay, as I told you earlier. So Medium and YouTube pe channel banao, right? So let's say if I have given the link to my YouTube channel, right, in my resume, And if the recruiter, right, even without interacting with me, he is able to go ahead and view my YouTube channel and see and experience for himself how I speak, how do I explain something, right? They can get impressed, right? So assume कि एक सही बहुत अच्छा वीडियो बनाया आपने, रिक्रूटर को आपका रेज्यूमे मिला, उसमें आपने यूट्यूब चैनल का लिंक डाला था, दे क्लिक ऑन इट, they go to your channel and they maybe watch 2 or 3 videos, right? They're automatically impressed, right? They're saying that okay, this guy is making effort, this guy can speak English, this or maybe speak Hindi, but this guy can communicate. Okay, this guy can talk, he can actually talk technical, that is an edge. And that is what a lot of, let's say, recruiters are looking for. I am not going to hire, let's say, some, if I'm going to hire a data scientist, I'm not going to hire them, let's say, the traditional way, right? If I see that if they are a data science creator, maybe I will hire them, right? Because I feel that they have more skin in the game, right? So always try to publish your work through Medium and YouTube channel, and this is how you're going to build a solid portfolio. So as a recruiter, even without knowing you, even without having a word with you, I'm able to understand what you speak, how you speak, what's your acumen. I'm able to get a lot of perspective, so your shortlisting becomes like pretty quick. All right, so this is what I really want to focus on. Recruiter के हिसाब से सोचो, रिक्रूटर को तो इजी चाहिए ना. Recruiter doesn't want to spend let's say entire day scanning through hundred of profiles, right? They have a lot of other things to do, right? So so how, what is it that is going to make it easy for them? If you have something over the edge, let's say with respect to your peers. आपका जो दोस्त है, मे बी जो स्कूल का फ्रेंड है, वो उसने 2-3 प्रोजेक्ट लिख के ले आए, एंड उसे लगा कि सिर्फ प्रोजेक्ट में मैंने लिख दिया कि साइकिट लर्न और ये लिख दिया सब कुछ, डीप लर्निंग, तो मेरा शॉर्टलिस्ट हो जाएगा प्रोफाइल, राइट? बट ये दिस इज एवरीवन इज डूइंग द सेम, राइट? Everyone is writing the same skills, everyone is having similar let's say ideas in their resume. So how as a recruiter I differentiate, and even in a quick amount of time. So if you have something extra, some extra lever that you can place and shine. Okay, so ye cheez hai. uh, and I think everyone should also have their own personal website. Okay, आजकल वेबसाइट बनाना बहुत इजी भी हो गया है, and I think everyone should build their own personal website today, right? So maybe I can give you an idea. आप framer पे बना सकते हो, you can build this on Webflow as well, right? uh, but try to really build your own website and link this in your resume, right? Because as a recruiter, if I see that you have built your own personal website and you have listed everything that you have done and in a really good way, I am going to get automatically impressed, right? I'm going to feel that okay, this guy has made a lot of effort and he knows what he's doing or she is doing. So always try to build your personal website and link this into your resume. Okay, so you can build your website using Framer or Webflow, but definitely it's worth doing this. Okay, so are you guys getting the idea? Second one is Webflow. So here, okay, you got it. And the first one is called Framer. So, and you can actually also build a simple backend here, but that's for later. But try to explore this, right? Try to do these kind of things as well, apart from just learning. Learn तो करना ही है यार. Python तो पता होना ही चाहिए, SQL तो आना ही चाहिए, machine learning तो आना ही चाहिए, but you have to also shine on other standards, because world is becoming like really competitive, right? Chat gpt can today do, let's say, 40-50% of your work, right? So how are you going to, let's say, position yourself as someone who can actually make a mark in this field, make a mark in your company? So you need to have all the uh, arrows in your quiver so that you can get really target something really good. So your resume should have all of these linked in it, right? So GitHub का profile link करो, अच्छे projects लिखो, build a Medium and YouTube channel, link those, right? Build your personal website, link those. So you should be doing this today, okay? So try to maybe at least explore तो करो कैसे बनाते हैं, try to maybe toy around with it, right? The worst thing that you can do today is not take any action, right? So inaction is actually the worst thing that you can do today. So you should really be prepared to take action. All right, chalo aage badhte. So what is the next thing that we really want to learn? So now apply for top jobs in tech. So आप कैसे कर सकते हो ये चीज? So there are already a lot of good job platforms which list jobs, and at Alma Better we are also providing a job board, right? So you need to essentially keep an eye on, let's say, popular job boards, have a look at, let's say, what are the good jobs which are, let's say, opening, and you have to apply relatively quickly so that you can get prioritized, and make sure that you have like really good resume, you have a really good LinkedIn profile. Okay, so LinkedIn मैंने नहीं बताया. LinkedIn is something that you should definitely have, right? So LinkedIn be, of course, is equally important. So, and this is needless to say, everyone I think today has a good LinkedIn, but LinkedIn तो बहुत सही होना ही चाहिए, right? You should also become, I think, active on LinkedIn. Maybe I am not asking you or saying that आप shared post करो, right? But share something useful, right? So that other people in your network, they can feel appreciative about you, right? So now to apply for a lot of jobs, you can target a lot of popular job boards, right? So सबसे important है Google का, Google job board आता है, right? So you can just quickly search on Google, let's say, data science jobs, and you can get a lot of idea, right? You can also look at Alma Better job board, right, which we have already provided. बहुत सारे आप देख सकते हो. सो गूगल पे आप जा सकते हो, आप इंडीड पे जा सकते हो, नौकरी पे जा सकते हो, राइट? सो प्लेटफॉर्म्स आई थिंक यू ऑलरेडी नो, राइट? Alma Better पे भी आप जा सकते हो, okay, to apply, and then maybe, let's say, LinkedIn as well. So all these platforms which are posting like really relevant and jobs, I think you can target those, and and I think you can find really good jobs. You can filter out what kind of jobs are more relevant to you, right? So uh, let's say if I'm a fresher and I'm trying to get a data scientist job, okay, so how do I go about it, right? So what I'll do, I'm just going to share my screen, okay. So let's say data scientist jobs, मैं search कर रहा हूँ, okay. So this is what I'm searching, right? So data scientist job, and for example, let's say some stealth startup, एक बार देख लेते हैं क्या है, right? So यहाँ पे इन्होंने बोला है, right? So what are they telling us or asking us? So they are saying, of course, minimum of 5 years of experience, right? That is what everyone says. सबको experience लोग ही चाहिए. No one wants to hire fresher, but that's not the case, right? People do hire fresher. Of course, expectation जो मैंने basic रखी है वो ऐसा लिख दिया. देखो, bachelor's degree from one of the IITs, right? So does it make sense? It doesn't make sense, right? Because it's not guaranteed that a data scientist or someone who's trying to become a data scientist would be better if they come from IIT and not from other college, right? It doesn't make sense. But you can look at a lot of, let's say, just a data scientist role at Indium Software, right? So a lot of, let's say, these roles would require maybe some experience. So that is what I was also telling you, right? So the best strategy for, let's say, a fresher today would be start out and get a data analyst job or a senior analyst job if you're already doing a job. And then if you spend, let's say, a few months or a year, and then you are ready to switch to a data science role, right? And there no one is going to reject you, right? And you see what kind of requirements they are expecting. So NLP model, right? So NLP you should know, and everyone today wants to do Gen AI, so that's why they have mentioned this, right? But there are a lot of work is focused towards NLP, a bit of Python and TensorFlow, right? uh, Not a lot of it. NLP आता है, ये job कर सकते हो आप, right? But of course they are expecting a bit of experience, right? Um you can look at, let's say, data scientist clarivate, right? So they are expecting at least 1 year of experience in analytics, and this is actually the most reasonable. Okay, so analytics field में कैसे काम होता है, how does data analytics or data science work? You should know, you should get some idea how it works in the industry. Then only you will be able to contribute in a much better way, right? So they are expecting that you should know NLP, right? So when you learn NLP, right? You'll be learning all of this. You're also you'll get familiar with Python. They are expecting all these machine learning techniques or algorithms that you should have knowledge about. It's not very difficult. You're going to learn this in our program only, right? uh, Working knowledge in web scraping and data extraction, this is what you're going to learn in the second module. Okay, so not very difficult but straightforward stuff. But of course it is expected from a data scientist that they should be able to, let's say, scrape some data and maybe do something on top of it, right? Comfortable working with APIs. So the knowledge, so idea about APIs will become clear at the later stage of the program. But as you can see, it's not these are the skills that you are anyway going to learn in the program, right? So it's not something like really tough or something, let's say, not doable, right? So this is a good fit, right? So even if you're a fresher, right, and if we are able to, let's say, onboard Clarivate, they would be happy to interview you guys and let's say interview for this particular role, right? So you can go ahead and explore all these roles, right? But you can see that all of these roles, they would require that some common set of skills, right? So अगर आप देखो, so कुछ common set of skills ही चाहिए उनको. ओके, थोड़ा एनालिटिक्स आना चाहिए, थोड़ा मशीन लर्निंग आना चाहिए, थोड़ा पाइथन आना चाहिए, थोड़ा सीक्वल आना चाहिए. बस यही है, और क्या ही है. आप देखो यहाँ पे गुड मैथ एबिलिटीज, राइट? सो स्ट्रॉन्ग अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ टाइम सीरीज मॉडलिंग की आइडिया होना ही चाहिए, राइट? एक्जी बूस्ट क्या होता है, राइट? सो थोड़ा मोड़ा ये सब आइडिया होना चाहिए. It also looks like people who have curated this JD, they don't, I think, know much about how what they want, right? So उन्होंने कुछ कुछ random लिख दिया है, but they also don't know exactly what they want, right? And this is what recruiters always do, right? So they would write a lot of, let's say, fancy stuff, even they wouldn't know, but they would expect that the candidates would know. Okay, so 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 if you're a fresher, no worries. You can really really good job in analytics. Okay, so that is what I've been saying, right? As a fresher, the best way to get into this field is to get into an analytical role, and then maybe make an internal switch, or maybe switch to another company, but in core data science role. Okay, so I hope everyone is with me on this. Okay, so this is how, of course, you'll need to apply. You need to understand what is it that they are expecting from you, right? And let's be honest, right? आप ये जो देख रहे हो ना, ये सब जो minimum 5 years of, right, this ये ढकोसला है, right? Let's be honest, right? This is ढकोसला बाजी. No one, let's say, if they're expecting 5 years of experience, right? So maybe I would join as senior data scientist, right? I'm not going to join as data scientist. Okay, so all the recruiters, right, whenever they are publishing or curating their job description, no, they are going to, let's say, over emphasize on these things, right? Even though they know that they are not going to, let's say, put a lot of emphasis. So अगर 2 साल experience भी होगा वो चलेगा उनको, right? 1 साल भी होगा maybe वो भी चलेगा, right? But they deliberately put it there so that they get as in only, let's say, experienced people apply, right? Because जनता को तो यही लगेगा कि 5 साल experience चाहिए ही चाहिए, right? But it is not going to be the case, right? As a recruiter, I am going to shortlist good profiles even though they don't have maybe, let's say, a lot of, let's say, experience. Okay, what will be the starting package for freshers? So देखो, ये एक रेंज होता है स्वप्निल, राइट? यूजुअली हमने जो देखा है, what we have seen is basically, I think they pay around 5 to 6 LPA, right? 6-7 लाख भी पे कर देते हैं. And I think, Swapnil, you're pointing out, I search on every job portal, but no company needs freshers, sir, right? So I think you are correct, right? So company does not need fresher, right? People are thinking about, yaar mujhe to experienced log hi chahiye. But the good thing about Alma Better is, right, we onboard companies internally, right? As in how placements happen in college, no? So we onboard companies on everyday basis. So every day we are onboarding at least 7 to 10 companies. Okay, and these companies, they trust on Alma Better, and they say that, hey, I know that you are teaching all these folks data science, and we believe in your education. So we would want to interview these guys, even though we know that they might be freshers, they might not have any experience, but they will schedule interviews with our students only. Okay. Amazon has hired, Amazon and Uber, they have hired from us in the last 2 months, right? Novartis have hired around 15 folks from us, right? A company hired around 10 web developers from us, right? So these are the companies which we are onboarding almost on daily
करूँगी एक बार
basis
एग्जिट करके.
around. Hello, Amit. Hello,
Can I, if it is possible, can I change my name?
hello. Who is
Why is
this?
it Amit reflecting over here, yeah?
Amit Sengar. Can you please go on mute? Who is that? Hello. Hang on, guys. I think. Wait a second. All right, cool. So basically, I was telling you that the recruiters will deliberately put a higher number for experience, right? But if you are a fresher, the best thing that you should be doing is get a job in analytics. Let's say if you're not able to find on your own, Alma Beta will help you. Okay. So we are onboarding companies on daily basis, and our students are getting placed in those companies, right? So if you have it in you, you get inside Almax, you will get the job. Okay. And of course you're free to apply from outside, but as a recruiter I have personal and let's say human limitation. I cannot possibly go ahead and scan through, let's say, thousand of applications, right? आप जब अप्लाई करते हो, you're always thinking about yourself, right? बट आपके जैसे तो हजार लोग हैं जो अप्लाई कर रहे हैं, right? So how, as a recruiter, who am I going to prioritize? How am I even going to shortlist, right? So you're using some sort of automated mechanism, right? So that is something that you really need to understand. Is in fact the toughest part, let's say, in getting a job is getting shortlisted. The toughest part is that. And what I'm telling you, that if you're finding that difficult, because that is, let's say, if you, it's not under your control, it is under our control. We are onboarding companies, and you'll be having interviews with them. Okay. So but I'm telling you that companies inflate the experience numbers. उनको भले ही 1 साल का experience चाहिए, नहीं भी चाहिए, वो लिख देंगे 5 साल. Okay. That doesn't make sense, right? So cool. So ये search on every job portal, but no company needs freshers, ये तो. So these are the hypotheses that will test in statistics as well, right? So ऐसा भी नहीं है, right? आप ये बोल रहे हो today, if you're telling that all the freshers who are getting graduated, right, none of them are getting a job. Is that what you're saying? No, right? Is that what you're saying? No, that is not going to work. There is, let's say, certain percentage. Okay, so maybe only, let's say, 15 or 20% of all freshers are able to get a job. Let's say you can tell that, right? And your objective would be that would be to be in that top 20%, right? So you really need to hone in your skills and do everything that we have been discussing throughout this session, right? So see, pessimistic view तो मैं रख सकता हूँ ना. I can today tell you, I can today accept भाई कि कुछ नहीं हो पाएगा मेरा, राइट? आई कैन गो अहेड, मैं अपने गांव चले जाता हूँ, खेत पे काम करता हूँ, राइट? दिस इज व्हाट आई कैन थिंक. सो आपने सर्च करा, मैं भी सर्च कर दूंगा, एंड यू विल फाइंड जॉब्स फॉर फ्रेशर्स एज वेल, राइट? सो इट्स नॉट लाइक कि फ्रेशर के लिए जॉब्स नहीं है, बट आई थिंक द कंपटीशन हैज इंक्रीज्ड अ बिट. ओके. सो ये सो we should be doing hypothesis testing and these kind of statements, right? कि no company needs freshers, right? ऐसा भी नहीं है यार. Experienced people, they ask for bigger amount of compensation. Not every company can maybe have that, right? Especially in a head in a let's say in this not so well economy. Okay. So you need to be really aware of all these nitty gritties which are hidden, right? So जो दिखता है वैसा नहीं है exactly. It's not exactly the same. Okay. So if they're asking for 5 years of experience, it's not required. So that is what you are saying, no? आप यही देख के आप पढ़ रहे हो, राइट? एंड कंक्लूड कर रहे हो कि 5 साल एक्सपीरियंस चाहिए, तो मतलब फ्रेशर तो नहीं हायर कर रहे, राइट? बट दैट इज व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू टेल यू, राइट? दे आर inflating their expected numbers. Okay. It's not like that they will not hire, let's say, fresher. If you have good acumen, if you have good skill, आपको क्यों नहीं कोई हायर करेगा गिवन यू आर शॉर्टलिस्टेड? बट ओनली दे आर राइटिंग ऑल ऑफ दिस सो दैट दे कैन डू क्विक फिल्टरिंग, क्विक शॉर्टलिस्टिंग, इसलिए वो कर रहे हैं। उनको पता है कि 5 साल वाले एक्सपीरियंस लोग ही अप्लाई करेंगे अगर मैं ऐसा लिख दूंगा, राइट? सो इन उन रिक्रूटर के लिए काम आसान हो गया। आई होप यू गाइज आर गेटिंग दिस पॉइंट। ओके, सो यार पहले अगर आप सीख लोगे ना, मैं बता रहा हूं, इफ यू लर्न डेटा साइंस, इवन इफ इट समवन डज नॉट गेट यू अ जॉब टुडे, यू कैन become a freelancer on Fiverr. You can pick up good data science project and you can earn. I'm just telling you, right? पैसा कमाना बहुत टफ नहीं है लाइफ में। आई एम ऑनेस्टली टेलिंग यू, राइट? इट्स वेरी इजी। इनफैक्ट आप क्रिएटर बन के पैसे कमा सकते हो। ब्रांड्स विल गिव यू मनी, right? Alma Better will associate with you and they will give you money. Let's say if you're a good data science creator, I would encourage you to become a mentor with us, an instructor with us. Let's say if you are good in your data science skills. So पहले ही आप अगर सोच लोगे कि भाई ये है ही नहीं, मुझे करना ही नहीं चाहिए, इट डजंट मेक सेंस, राइट? So see, when you were born, and see, no one expected that you should be doing a job, right? Today you don't even need to do a job. You can become a freelancer. You can earn well. You can have things for your family, have things for yourself, right? It's not that difficult, भाई। जॉब एल्मा बेटर भी लगा देगा। अगर खुद से लगाना है तो वो थोड़ा टफ रहेगा, बिकॉज आप बोल रहे हो फ्रेशर है, शॉर्टलिस्टिंग में डिफिकल्टी होगी, राइट? But I am saying that if today if you have some motivation, no, so you can become a freelancer and start earning, right? आप देखो यूपीएससी 4 4 साल प्रिपेयर कर रहे, एक पैसा नहीं कमा रहे लोग, राइट? और 4 साल क्या वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, अब सोचो, थिंक अबाउट इट। People are wasting their precious years of youth in यूपीएससी प्रिपरेशन, एंड वो बोल रहे कि मैं 16 घंटे पढ़ूंगा, but I will not do, let's say, 3 or 4 hours of freelancing work so that I can get some money and I don't have to rely on parents. This is like bogus, right? So this kind of mindset has to change. We need to change our mindset ki yaar, we need to really think about it from a different perspective. If I know something, I can monetize it through whatever way. It could be a normal job, it could be a job at Alma Better, it could be a freelancing job, it could be an influencer job, it could be anything, right? You can become a consultant, and but if you know something, then only these things will happen, right? So because I'm telling you, you need to really change your perspective of what does a job mean, right? And I don't think a lot of people, especially in the West, they are not doing job, they are doing freelancing, they're earning well, they are not having to, let's say, listen from any boss or hear anything. So you need to change your perspective, guys, right? Of course things are not easy, I'm not denying that things are not easy for freshers, especially with tools like ChatGPT. They can do bulk of your work even better than you, right? But do I lose hope? No. I need to focus on what do I need, right? I need to learn something so that I can be really motivated by. I have some curiosity, and this is something that I can really think about in long term. For example, let's say 5 or 10 years. So that's why I'm learning. It's not just to, let's say, get do a job, but to build something like really useful, and then you can either get a job or, let's say, do some freelance, maybe become a creator, or do something, become a YouTuber, who knows, right? Options are like there. आप गमरोड पे एक book बेच सकते हो, you can, if you know data science, you can write a data science book, right? And today, and you can sell on Gumroad. I'll just show you, right? So you're just finding reasons to not do something, right? And this is what we have been taught since our childhood, right? You don't have to build something, you don't have to create something. You, the best that you can do is just get a job, right? So वो तो ठीक है, जॉब भी हो जाएगा, but I'm just trying to tell you, right, there are different ways to think about it, right? So there are different ways in which you'll need to really think about. You can create a simple PDF, right, on data science, and sell this for, let's say, $10 on Gumroad, and you can keep earning, let's say, for your lifetime. Who knows? Okay, so so are you guys getting the idea? Okay, matlab, of course I'm giving a lot of gyan, right? But I'm not trying to, let's say, misguide you, right? But I'm trying to tell you that we'll have to adopt a really balanced mindset. Okay, we have to approach a really balanced mindset. Of course things are difficult for freshers, right? बट बिना फ्रेशर के एक्सपीरियंस कैसे बनेंगे, राइट? सम देयर विल बी सम टाइम, नो, व्हेन एक्सपीरियंस पीपल दे विल सॉर्ट ऑफ लेट्स से बिकम इररेलेवेंट, राइट? तो किसी को तो हायर करना पड़ेगा. That is how, let's say, time works, right? It's a paradox. If you don't hire freshers, and let's say you just rely on, let's say, the experienced folks, right? So then it's not going to work out, right? So ye time ka hi khel hai, and this will move in time, right? Otherwise it's going to be a paradox, right? So how do I become an experienced guy without, let's say, any experience, right? So so I think you need to really focus on learning, and making sure that you really understand. You're not fooling yourself. You actually understand. And then you can see, okay, there are like different paths, right? So let's say if getting a job is becoming very difficult for you, you're not in Alma X, you're not trying to take a job through Alma Better, but you're trying to take a job through your own, you are trying to apply on different job board, you're not getting calls, you're not getting interviews, you are disheartened, and you can be, right? I'm telling you, shortlisting or getting shortlisted is difficult, right? Because today the competition has increased, and for a single data analyst or data scientist application or role, recruiters are getting thousands of application, right? So, and so at the end it's just a matter of luck, it's probability in a way, right? It's your chances of success. So you don't have to rely on that completely, okay? So you can do something else as well, maybe. If you want to really get let's say, if you want to be really sure of a job, join the Almax program, right? If you really want to, let's say, do something else, maybe do some freelancing, right? But do something, okay? Don't whine and cry about that world is not a good place, world is not a fair place, right? Things were really tough for our fathers, our forefathers. Things were like really tough for me as well, right? But we have endured, right? No one came and helped me and said that, hey, I'm here to help you and you'll be able to do, right? We had to figure out on our own, but we are doing good, right? I'm able to eat well every day, I'm able to sleep well, right? So I have no complaints. So you have to adopt that kind of mindset, I think. Okay, so let's move ahead. So what is it, what is the last thing that I want to discuss? Preparing for the interviews, right? So how should you prepare for the interviews, right? So this is something that I really want to, yeah, talk about. So how to interview, prepare for the interviews, right? Interviews कैसे होता है, first of all वो समझते हैं, as in what is the usual process. So ऐसा देखो, so usually क्या होता है, से एक let's say एक प्री इंटरव्यू राउंड होता है, right? So it's called a प्री इंटरव्यू राउंड, okay? So इसमें क्या क्या दे देते हैं, so असाइनमेंट होगा कभी, right? असाइनमेंट होगा, और let's say some test, okay, so on some platform. Just give me a second. So पहला होगा, so let's say usually क्या होता है, because companies get a lot of, let's say, candidates and applications, right? So they want to screen before, let's say, they do any one-on-one or face to face interview. So they give out assignments to, let's say, a group of folks, or they take some test, right? And these are all totally automated, and that is how they are able to move through the next round. ओके, सो दिस इज राउंड वन. सो एक बार प्री इंटरव्यू क्लियर हो जाता है आपका, एज इन, सो राउंड वन इज गोइंग टू बी, लेट्स से, योर फेस टू फेस इंटरव्यू. It can be online or offline depending on the company, and then it will be, of course, a technical round, okay? So technical round hoga, okay? And depending on the requirement and the role, right, this can be around certain things, right? So they can ask you, maybe, let's say, python पूछ सकते हैं, python coding, right? So they can ask you some python coding question, right? Or maybe they can ask some questions, let's say, from ML, right? Or your, let's say, on your resume. So usually what happens, no, in round one, let's say if I'm taking round one, right? And so what I'll do, I will have a look at your resume, and then maybe I'll ask you, explain your favorite project, okay? So this is what I do most of the time, right? So whenever I'm interviewing anyone, or I'm taking mock interviews in Alma X, right, I am basically asking folks that can you explain, and a single favorite project of yours? So usually क्या होते हैं, students or candidates would have, let's say, would have mentioned three projects. Okay, so I am not asking them that oh, you explain all three of them. I am asking you, आप choose कर लो, whatever be your favorite project, you go ahead and describe what you did. Okay, सो वो टेक्निकल राउंड में वो सारी चीजें अब होती है. अब नाउ अब प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में, लेट्स से द स्टूडेंट विल टेल समथिंग, राइट, और द कैंडिडेट विल टेल समथिंग, दे विल एक्सप्लेन द प्रोजेक्ट, राइट, and that is where I will sort of go ahead and sort of understand in detail, right? So let's say they might have written some sort of, let's say, some jargon, some keyword, right? So किसी ने लिख दिया कि मल्टी कोलिनियरिटी, किसी ने लिख दिया कि भाई silhouette score, or K means clustering, right? So they are explaining that project. All of these things are written, right? So once they are done, let's say, explaining their project, I'm going to ask a follow-up question, right? So maybe try to ask, what was the data set? Data set kya tha? Do they understand how the data set looked, right? So I'm not going to jump directly into asking, let's say, do you know this algorithm or do you know this technique, right? I want to really first understand myself as a recruiter or as an interviewer, what was the data set, right? So that I can ask more relevant question. So I try to get an idea, does the candidate know about the data set first, right? So that is the big, that is the very beginning, right? So data set understanding, right? That is very important. Or problem statement. Okay, so this is important. Okay, so ये सबसे पहले होना चाहिए कि you should know what is the problem statement, or as in what was the problem statement of the project that you worked on, what was the data set that you worked on. You should know what does a row represent, what were the columns in your data set. So you should have some basic idea about this, right? So now once you have explained that what's your data set and what was the problem statement, whether you're building a classifier or a regressor, right? Then I will go ahead and talk maybe about pre-processing, right? So how are you handling null values, right? How are you handling, let's say, these kind of issues in your data set, right? So so this is something that I will ask, right? And then maybe I will move on to asking about, okay, what kind of, let's say, modeling techniques you used, right? What was the algorithm you used, right? Why did you choose this? What does this algorithm do, right? So of course, now once I have basic context, right, as an interviewer, I can go inside the depths of it and keep asking, right? Of course, I'm not going to ask them and say that, hey, आप maths लिख के बता सकते हो? Can you write this formula or equation? I'm not going to ask that, right? I'm trying to overall understand whether this guy has some applied knowledge, right? Can they apply their skills to solve some problem? Maybe I can give them some case study, right? I can give them some case study and ask them, hey, can you solve this as well? Okay, यहाँ पे SQL ये सब भी हो सकता है पूछे, right? So they can ask you that, hey, can you write this, let's say, SQL query. The table is given, the schema is given. You need to maybe join one or two tables, right? So this is what happens in a technical round, right? So overall questions are going to stem from your project written in your resume, right? So I'm not going to come up and think that, hey, can you explain what are GANs, right? I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to see what is written in the resume, and then I'm going to do some follow-ups. So I hope you guys are getting me. Okay, so now round two will also be, let's say, technical. Let's say there are two technical rounds. One could be, let's say, taken by a data scientist in the team. One could be, let's say, the data science manager, or maybe, let's say, the head of, let's say, data science, whoever. And round two will have, let's say, similar set of questions as in round one, right? So this is again going to be technical round. Maybe in this round they can give you a specific case study to solve, right? So they can give you some problem statement, and they can ask you that, hey, can you formulate or convert this problem into an ML problem? Okay, and then can you try to solve the solution? What are the variables you're going to have? What are you going to do? So these are like different case studies. So they can give you a simple question, right? That let's assume you are working for a mall, right, or a store, right? And a store has a security camera, so you're getting the audio and video data, let's say, right? So can you do something, right? And this was a question which was asked in Walmart, right? And they were expecting that we should be doing something called spatio temporal clustering. बट की स्टडी वो दे दिया, उन्होंने बोला कि कैमरा से डेटा आ रहा है, इसका क्या कर सकते हैं बताओ. It was just that simple question. But if you actually go into the depths of it, you will find that you can actually do much more, right? So you can see that at what time of the day the majority of the folks are coming, what kind of sections are most of the folks going to, how can I increase the visibility of certain products in my store. So I can do n number of things if I have access to video and audio data, right? So these are maybe the questions they can ask you if you're sitting for, let's say, a core data science round. But if you're sitting for, let's say, data analyst round, they're going to just ask about your project, maybe, and a bit of idea. They're not going to ask you very technical. Maybe stats पूछ सकते हैं. They can ask you, let's say, some questions from stats as well. Okay, so they can ask you, let's say, कि, okay, can you explain what is p value, what is hypothesis testing, central limit theorem क्या होता है, can you tell me, let's say, two probability distribution. Of course they can ask you because this is expected from a data analyst. All right, so this is how you're going to prepare for interviews. And round 2 के बाद एक HR, let's say, दो technical round होंगे. So फिर HR round होगा where they will discuss about compensation, joining date, notice period, and whatnot, cultural fit, all of that. Okay, so this is overall how you should think about interviews, and that is, and how you should prepare, right? So mostly यही होता है कि resume से ही question पूछा जाता है, right? So and most of the time students, they fall in their own trap. वो लिख देते हैं बहुत heavy words in their resume, and when interviewer are trying to understand what they have written, they have no clue at all. Okay, so we have to keep a balance there, right? So we don't have to write those things which we don't know at all, right? But if we have some idea, we can write those, and we can give an explanation that, hey, I know I have some basic understanding of this, maybe I do not have an advanced understanding, but I'm really excited to learn this, and I will be able to learn this next. Okay, so that is how you can sort of dodge certain things, right? So maybe, let's say, if you've written something very technical, you don't know exactly in depth, so you can say that, hey, I have a basic understanding, this seems really interesting to me, I'm really curious about it, and I want to learn more about it, but as of now I have just limited understanding, and that's not bad. Okay, so now this is how you're going to prepare for the interviews. All right, so I think so overall, these are, I think, the strategies I wanted you guys to overall I wanted to discuss with you guys, right? So what are the strategies that we should do today so that we can secure a good future in technology field? Okay, so I have tried to give you a lot of idea, and I think we can now pass this to um, Pratiksha. Can you go ahead and maybe, yeah, walk through the platform and talk about the master's program? Or sorry, okay, sir,
Hi,
doing the
Vikas,
album.
Ananya here.
Hello. Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you, Vikas. It was a very informative session, I guess, and maximum doubts you would have cleared. So you did my part. आपने थोड़ा सा मेरी help कर दी उस चीज में.
Okay.
But guys, thank you so much for attending the class, and I will be briefing you everything about the program. I'm Ananya from the admissions team. Whatever doubts, questions you have, you can write it on the chat box, and I'll be helping you and I'll be assisting you with that part. Yes. I'll be giving you a brief idea about what do we do and why Alma Beta basically. So, talking about, we have a community-driven approach where why Alma Beta basically, because you can see that there are a lot of learning platforms which are available. You can opt for the programs which are even available for 500-600 rupees. But why us? Because we are a first community learning platform. You will be studying in groups over here. You will be doing projects in team. You will be getting ready for the jobs, right? So we'll be helping you out, we'll be building up that environment where you get all the opportunities, where you learn in groups, where people in and around you will be inspiring you, motivating you. Now talking about the USPs, we have a very industrial relevant curriculum. it means that our curriculum is actually designed by the industrial experts, instructors, and the faculty of IIT Guwahati. So whatever currently are the needs of hiring partners, right? We will be starting from everything from the very basic level to advanced. You will also be having more than 100 plus live classes with lifetime access. So the entire dashboard access will be given to you for your entire lifetime. Anytime you will be having the access with your notes, आपके जो recorded lectures हैं, you'll be having the access for that. Your projects, everything will be available to you. Moving towards the capstone projects, most important thing. Now we divide the projects based on different industries. So you will be experiencing the projects of different industries, like it can be e-commerce, it can be finance, it can be banking sector, it can be healthcare. So we'll be working on the unstructured data and projects of all of these industries. Now we have subject matter experts with us. The job roles of subject matter experts are, they are available from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Every single day, not on Saturdays and Sunday. So you can connect with them anytime. They are available for whatever doubts, questions you're having. They will be helping you out with that part. When you move towards Alma X, right, we have 50 plus mock interviews, and we have dedicated career coaches in Alma X who give you a crystal clear understanding of how to crack an interview, right? The most important part is that it's a 100% placement guarantee program. We have more than 700 hiring partners, including prominent consultancies, product-based companies, and also service-based companies. Okay. Now, if we talk about the learning activities for technical skills, we have live lectures. So your class timings will be from 8 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Right? We have lab experiments, projects, and assignments. So we have self-paced assignments, which are specifically on the dashboard. I'll be giving you a dashboard walkthrough right after this. We'll have a crystal clear understanding. Second point, group discussions are there, right? So we'll have all the information about the groups, in the groups, whatever discussions, whatever current trends which are running into the market, right? For motivation and industrial exposure, you have one-on-one mentorship sessions. So you can schedule your mentorship sessions as many times as you want. And mentors basically help you with building your resume, give you a very personalized sessions, and we will be also focusing on your personal growth. Now secondary, mandatory for Alma X, we provide you, as I mentioned over here, that we provide you 20 plus capstone projects. So at least it is compulsory for you, right, to complete 4 minimum capstone projects in duration of the program, right? And also competency challenges. So these challenges also will be available on your dashboard to help you out. You can see on my screen, we have some, we have we have hiring partners, which are more than 700 companies. So these are the best hiring partners which we have. So they are the names. Now, talking about the salary distribution of Alma X graduate. So you can see that maximum of the salary, the average package which we provide, is in between 8 to 9 LPA, right? So if you complete the program and you follow your capstone projects, आप projects complete करते हो, assignments complete करते हो, and AB CAT exam is there, so you can expect that this salary you will be getting. Moving towards, these are the, you can meet your instructors over here, right? So these are our instructors. And yeah, success stories are also visible. So you can see these are some of the success stories of the people who have done the program with us and have entered into prominent startups and prominent organizations. Guys, I would like to ask you, are there any questions where I can help, or shall we move forward to, where I can show the dashboard to you? If there are any questions, please feel free, right? And we'll help you out with that part. Okay, so there is also this pool which is running around. I'll also be sharing one form with you. Guys, I have pasted one form on the chat box if you can see. Please fill this form. Okay, so we can see some questions are here. So we have a question from Suhail over here. So Suhail is asking, who has already enrolled can leave? Yeah, yeah, definitely. If you're enrolled for the program, I guess you might be having all the information with you over here. So, Dinesh, the batch size completely differs, but I do not think that we have more than 25 to 30 students in per batch. So, yes, this is the batch size. Okay, so there's one more question. What's the difference between data scientist, data engineer, data analyst, and business analyst? So, see, data science is the entire field, right? When you start working as a fresher, because you will be landing to an entry level job, so you can expect the position of junior data analyst, and business analyst. Now, talking about data scientist and data engineer, they are more technical. There are little bit of more technicalities are needed over here. So data engineer and data scientist will be a second step for you. Initially, you will start working as a business analyst or a data analyst. Yes, Aditya, we have a placement guaranteed program. Right. So how do it function entirely? That when you enter into our Alma X after completion of all the parameters into the program, right? When you enter into Alma X, we provide you a placement guarantee before that, and then we will be providing you all the personalized help, right? We are manually working on your profile, right? We are training you, providing you mock interviews, and that's how we give you 100% placement guarantee. So that process does not stop unless and until you land up with a good job.
I have shared a resource. So I think someone was having a question regarding the differences between data analyst and data engineer, right? So I have shared this Jamboard. So I think feel free to go through this. So I have highlighted what kind of skills that you would need for these kind of roles. So please visit this and you'll get all the idea, right? So we of course we did not discuss this explicitly in today's session, but I think you'll get the idea, right? So please go through this PDF. I think you'll be able to, yeah, get the idea. So I'm interested in masters in data science. So which course is best? Isn't that the course itself, masters in data science? So so we are just providing two courses, Aditya Wag, right? So one is the regular 6 month certification program, and then the 12 months masters program, right? So if you're interested, you can, yeah, do that, right? So we're currently only offering data science. Okay. So I saw your ad on social media that it's a pay. So Swapnil, I think it's a hybrid pay after placements. I'll tell you, as in to basically access learning, right? To be able to learn, you'll have to pay something which is our, let's say, enrollment fee, as in that is our course fee. But the majority, as in 80% or 90% of fees that we will take will be after placement, right? So if you become eligible for a placement and you get the job, then only you start paying for that, right? So in that sense, this is, let's say, 20% of front and 80% placement. So I want proper degree, then which course, right? So that is what I'm saying. This is the master's degree in data science, right? So that is, I think, that is a single course we are providing, no, at least in masters. So I think you can show Ananya, maybe.
Yes,
So
yes. I'll just go with the dashboard
can you
walkthrough.
go
Is
to
my
my
screen
goal?
visible, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just click on my goal on the top. So so my goal जहाँ पे है लेफ्ट में, Alma better के पास. Okay, let me share. Yeah, there only. Or maybe I can share, no? Fees is refunded, no. So earlier we had this policy that upon the completion of learning track, your learning fees will be refunded, or enrollment fees. As of now, we are not doing it, right? Because we also need some money to run our operations, right? So we have onboarded a lot of mentors, instructors, a lot of support team, right? So फ्री में तो कुछ होता नहीं है ना यार, पैसे तो चाहिए उसके लिए भी, इसलिए थोड़ा फीस हम लोग लेते हैं, but majority of the fees we take after you get placed. Okay, but master's program is upfront fee, right? So we are you will be getting a degree from the Wolf University. You can go ahead and switch to the goal. So Ananya, can you just do that thing? So go to certification and switch to uh, yeah. हाँ, so यहाँ से explore courses में आप जाओ. So let's go to explore courses. So and now you can go to masters. Click on masters ऊपर में. So right. So now so this is the master's program, Aditya. You can you just yeah, click on this. Yeah, just click on free preview. So now you will get an idea about the master's program. So this is the only program. Okay. अगर आप देखो तो इट्स पे आफ्टर प्लेसमेंट ही है, राइट? सो शुरू में वी आर चार्जिंग स्टूडेंट फीस फॉर द लर्निंग ट्रैक, राइट? पढ़ाई करने के लिए जो आपको पैसे देने हैं वो है, बट जॉब जो प्रॉमिस कर रहे हैं, जो प्लेसमेंट है, वो तो उसके बाद ही मिल दे रहे हो ना आप, राइट? So, and I think we'll in fact be maybe doing away with it together, right? So we'll not be saying pay after placement. So we want to really focus on our master's program and our regular certification. So probably I think Swapnil, you'll not be seeing those later, but I would say that there's still 80% pay after placement, right? So ओके. अब अच्छा, ये आई सॉ योर रिव्यूज ऑन कोरा दैट अल्मा बेटर. आप तो पहले अल्मा बेटर का स्पेलिंग भी सही नहीं लिख रहे हो. अल्मा बेटर डोंट टीच फर्म बेसिक्स एज आई एम अ नॉन टेक गाय, राइट? सो देखो, आप व्हाट यू कैन डू, आई कैन गिव यू अ लिस्ट ऑफ वीडियोस, राइट, एंड यू कैन जज फॉर योरसेल्फ वेदर यू कैन एक्चुअली लर्न फ्रॉम अस और नॉट, राइट? सो मैं आपको एक भेजता हूँ. यू कैन गो थ्रू दोस ट्यूटोरियल्स दैट वी हैव पब्लिश्ड, लेट्स से. So आप देख सकते हो overall. And these are from beginners. These are all topics, let's say, from Python to stats and all, right? So I've just pasted the link to the YouTube playlist. So I think you can go through that. Okay. So if you want to have a conversation, maybe you can book a session with me, Swapnil. And if you have doubts, we can sort of discuss it, right? But blatantly saying things which you don't know clearly, no, it doesn't look good on your end. Okay. So, all right. Cool. Yeah, so feel free to mail me, no, vikash@alphabetter.com. I would be happy to have a discussion over a call, or let's say email, right? And we can discuss. All right, Ananya, I think, you can go ahead.
Okay. So, guys, I'll be helping you out with the dashboard where you can explore the classes and how everything will be visible to you. So over here on our home section, you can see that you'll get the essential information which is required for the program, and also how your certifications are going to look like. Some of the alumni also of Alma Better, plus the instructors who will be teaching you, all the information you can get over here. The projects, learning by doing, the practice industry level capstone projects are mentioned here. When we move towards the learning part, so you can see your classes over here, right? And right, all of your classes are available on the learn section. And moving towards, all these classes are of, you can see the data science. We also have business communication classes, right? So we work on how you have to communicate and your personality development, because it's very important that you have that essence of good communication skills with you. So we'll also be working on this part, right? You can see your, we'll access to the live classroom. Yes, and you can also add your classes to the calendar, right? So your on the calendar also your classes will be visible. Now, moving towards the classroom sections, right? Just a second, I'll just
Yeah, you
switch
can switch
that.
to the other goal. Yeah.
Right. You can see access live classroom. So your live classroom will be accessible to you over here. So AirMeet is one of our platform where we conduct our classes, and you can connect with the subject matter experts also on AirMeet. You your live classes will also be happening on the AirMeet platform. You can see the entire schedule over here. So your entire schedule is there, like operators of data types, and all the schedule will be mentioned over here on the AirMeet platform. All right. So your practice assignments are posted. So these assignments are bifurcated based on the companies plus the skill. Like for example, if you're preparing for an interview, these assignments are self-paced assignments. If you're preparing for a specific interview of any company and you need to have assignments, all the, depending upon the companies, you can see the difficulty level, right? And Python skill. So based on skills, all the assignments are posted over here. Python, SQL, strings, and company-wise bifurcation is also there. You can see HCL, Cisco, Microsoft. And moving towards the project part, here you can see your capstone projects, which will be coming from different industries. So you can see you will be getting projects of Google Play, Airbnb, the World Bank, from financial sectors, from even different entertainment sectors, Zomato. All these projects will be mentioned, will be visible to you here. Moving towards career path, you can see how all the information about your Alma Better CAT exam will be mentioned, right? Like you, how much you need to score, when do you have to give your exam, all the information you'll uh, get it over here. Mentorship sessions, as I was talking about, you can book the sessions, right? These mentors will be helping you with your resume building, whatever doubts, questions you're having, will be, you can book the mentorship sessions here. Now, one of the most best part which we have introduced very recently is that we have a dedicated job portal, right? So you do not have to visit on any other portals like Naukri or other areas where you can find the job, but we have dedicated job portal, and you can see all the openings of different organizations here. So we collect all the openings and we post it on our dedicated job portal, so you can find all the openings here. Some filters and your preferences also you can set over here. We also have a refer and earn policy, guys. So if you are planning to enroll, right, you can also motivate your friends and you can earn money through our referral program. So this was mostly about the dashboard. Is there any particular doubt where I can help you with the dashboard? Any questions? Any questions about the dashboard? Okay. So I guess no more questions are there. You all are ready to enroll for the program as soon as possible. Okay. I think we are done with the session. I will also be sharing my personal number with you.
All right, guys. So I think you had been a wonderful audience. So please feel free to reach out to us in case you are facing any issues or you have any questions. And I hope you guys were able to understand something from this session. So we love doing all this kind of master classes every now and then, and we do this every weekend. So yeah, we'll do this next week as well. So till then, if you have questions, please reach out to the team if you're interested in the course. So talk to them, and then and if you want, you please go ahead and enroll today only. All right. So cool. Thank you so much, and I wish you guys a happy weekend and happy Shivratri to all of you again. So thank you so much. Great.
Thank you, guys. I have posted my number so you can directly connect with the admissions team. And if you have any doubts or questions, we are always available. I have posted my number over here so you can connect with me. And anytime, like you can connect with our counselors. They will be providing you all the information about our master's program and also our post graduation certificate. So we have two certifications, as it is already mentioned, premium and iconic one. So we are looking forward that you will be enrolling for the program very soon.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. Bye. Take care, guys.